Hi, and welcome back to Pittman's Pumpkin Patch, Pittman's Garden Patch. It is June 25th, 2021. This is actually my first video of the season. A lot has gone on since the last time I did a video, which was quite a while back. My wife and family and we had to move. So that nice, beautiful place that we had out there in the country with all that, about 2.5 acres of land and everything. And I had that big, nice garden. It was like 25 feet wide by, 50 feet long. And then I had all the fruit trees and all that kind of stuff like that. Well, we had to move right near Christmas time, or a little bit after Christmas time. And so, life throws you those kinds of lemons, and you scramble and you get by. And so I had to leave behind that nice garden, and I had to leave behind several of my fruit trees and stuff, and blueberry bushes and everything. Like I said, I had to leave the blueberry bushes behind, grapevine, apple trees that I've grown for years now, probably 7-8 years. I had to leave them behind. Fig tree that I took from cuttings from my dad's tree that he got back when I was maybe 7 years old, maybe 8 years old. I had cuttings that and it was turning into a really good tree, and I had to leave it. Our chickens, we had to deal with that and all that kind of stuff like that. So it was a mess, but that's the way life is. And so we moved here. Now I was able to bring a couple of my peach trees and stuff with me, and we're back in the city, and it's a much smaller area than what we're used to, but it's nice. It's a nice house and everything, and I'll make the best of what I can do, and then hopefully one day we'll be able to get back out to the country. So that's in a nutshell what happened there. So you're looking at another blueberry bush that I bought, a very well-developed one, and you can see I've been harvesting blueberries off this already. I had to cover it up with this material right here to keep the birds off of it because they were already attacking. And this particular blueberry variety I bought is called South Moon. And I have to say, I know I paid a pretty penny for this, but I have to say the flavor and everything is outstanding. The reviews I read on it, everything like that, and what they said about the flavor is pretty spot on. This is a very delicious blueberry. Now, one way you can tell whether it's blueberries or blackberries or raspberries, if they're ready to be harvested, it's not necessarily by color. You got to come up there and just kind of lightly, and then when it just drop right off in your hand. And you don't take much pulling or tugging or anything like that, just a light little flick of your hand. And if they come off pretty easily, they are ready. If they don't, leave them on. See, those two are not coming off. The rest of them did. Those are staying on. These, oops, sorry for my finger, are, there we go, really nice. And yeah, they're good medium size, and like I said, the flavor, oh my goodness, oh, that is so good. I have to say, if you've watched my past videos and seen me talking about my blueberry bushes, my favorite blueberry bush is right next door to him. I have two of them. I had to start over with my blueberry bushes, folks. These are all brand new. Is the Sweetheart variety, which is that one right there that you see dead center. There's a bush behind it, and I have another one on the opposite end. And those blueberries are the biggest I've ever had. but they are the tastiest blueberries. When you think of the blueberry flavor, what blueberries should taste like, it's the Sweetheart variety. Now this South Moon variety comes in a pretty close second. I would definitely get more South Moon in the future. If I ever had to do it again, I would definitely do that. Now these are growing in fabric pots, and you can get fabric pots with handles and some without. Now blueberries love well-drained soil, and growing them in either raised beds or fabric pots like this is a great idea because the soil drains really good, and it's just these pots really do good for these kinds of plants and everything. So this is a really good one. Have other blueberries next door to it. I can't quite remember what this one is. I know there's a tag on it, but the writing is faded away. Now let's see if I can find a ripe one that's ready to come off. That's a little one did, but I don't know if that little one's going to give me much flavor. But again, this one, it's got good flavor to it. I think it's good. Now, is it as good as the South Moon? No, I don't. Not in my opinion, and it's definitely not as good as the Sweetheart. But it's got good flavor. It's more mild. I think maybe what the difference is a little bit more blueberry flavor in the South Moon and Sweetheart, but also there's a little bit of, I don't want to describe it as tartness, but maybe it's a little tangy, a little tarty. It's got that little extra kick to it. Not spicy, but just a little extra oomph to it that it's not mild. It doesn't taste watered down. It's got a little, I don't want to say it's pungent, but it's got a little tartness to it, I guess, is maybe it's the best to describe it. Not like a Granny Smith apple or anything, or a lemon, but just good overall flavor. So definitely South Moon and Sweetheart varieties are the way to go. Now, I forgot to say, this one right here is a pink lemonade variety. Now, this variety came from my dad's house, and I gotta say the flavor's not that bad at all. I like it. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get from it, but I have to say that that's really good. It's a good variety, good flavor to it. A little bit of tartness, just like the Sweetheart and the South Moon. So definitely. I'm sorry, I'm still snacking on that South Moon. That's good. That's good. Okay, moving on before I eat all the stuff here. Now, I was able to get, let me see if I can get out here a little bit. I was able to bring two of my 3 peach trees with me. Let's see if I can deal with the sun here. Okay, so this one in front of you is an Alberta peach tree. Now, this thing has put on some massive growth compared to what it was last year when I first bought it. It was just basically a little twig with a couple small little branches. And this thing, from last year to this year, has put on some massive, massive growth. And I do have some peaches growing on it. Now, hopefully they'll get the full size. I don't know. But we'll see. It produced a lot of flowers. I didn't get a whole lot of fruit, though. I did pick some of the smaller fruit off to give some of the larger fruit a chance to do its thing. Okay, so it's still a young tree, so I didn't want to overburden it. Now, this other tree right here is my Finger Lake peach tree, and you can see how massive that tree is. Now, this thing produced a ton of flowers this year, but really no fruit to speak of. I don't know, we just didn't have a whole lot of pollinators or what the deal was. But really, when it comes down to it, I only have 2 fruit on this tree. And they're small. Now, I don't know if they're going to fully develop. I don't know. But this tree structure is really good. And again, this is something, look at the size of that trunk down there. Now that's gosh, what size? This is a 45, maybe, no, 50-gallon pots, fabric pots that I'm growing this in. And you can see there is a split coming down here. So I guess maybe a root's traveling under there and pushing up a little bit. I don't know. But cover that back up. Had some, oh, looky there. I see you. Look who's the size. See if I can find, there it is. Looky there. I'll see if I think I may have, there he is. Japanese beetle. Uh-huh. Now I just sprayed this thing, I think it was last night or the night before, because Japanese beetles have been attacking my peach trees and doing some damage. So I've gone out and sprayed with my organic spray, so hopefully to mitigate their damage that they've done. If I had my electrified tennis racket, I'd come out here and zap him, but I don't have that anymore. Strawberry plants. I transplanted a bunch from the old house, put them in these buckets and stuff that I had, and I put them out in here. I got about 4 buckets or whatever, 4 pails, 4 fabric pots worth of strawberry plants, and they have been producing all spring and into the early summer. I got some strawberries still growing, and they've been small to medium size, good flavor, most of them. Some had a little bit more of a watered down flavor, but other than that, you know, like, now here's a strawberry that's not quite ready. It looks good, but it's got a little bit of paleness still to it, so it needs a little bit more. My blackberry bush that I brought over didn't survive, and I'm going to finish harvesting these blueberries, most of them anyways, and when I'm done with the video, to keep the birds from getting to them. Okay, so that's the only reason why I took off its protective coat covering. See a lot of the new growth. Okay, let's keep moving on here. We now live in a cul-de-sac, so that's a little different. Now to my front porch, now to the rest of the front side garden. Couple plants and everything. 3 sunflower plants straight down. One of my sons brought home in a tiny little pot 3 seedlings from church, and I transplanted them out about maybe a week and a half ago, and those things were not that good size like that they are now, so they are doing really good. I'll be transplanting those out soon. My wife loves sunflowers. Now I had these are pepper plants, of course, bell peppers. I had 9, but now I'm down to 6, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But 3 orange varieties, 3 white cloud varieties. Let's see if I can get down here and show you. You can see, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump it. You can see the white cloud bell pepper right in there. Okay, right in there. And they will go to a corner of a sort of a hot pink fluorescent red kind of color when they're ripe. So I got 3 of those, 3 of the orange. I did have other varieties. Like I said, I had these 3 plants right here are bell peppers. Pumpkin. But they were supposed to be bell pepper plants just yesterday, but I got rid of them because they turned out to be banana peppers. You can see on the table in the background, those are banana peppers all on the table. I did not order banana peppers. I don't particularly care for them, but they sent me the wrong seeds and labeled them as bell peppers, but they were not bell peppers. So I was a little frustrated with that, but c'est la vie. So I had 3 other pumpkin plants. I said, might as well use those instead. Got some ginger in those 2 pots right there from last year. I just broke them in pieces and stuck them in and split them open to 2 pots instead of just 1. And so getting all kinds of growth throughout. Ginger really loves to heat. So you can see more pumpkin plants in here. These were transplanted more like 2 weeks ago. You can already see the vines coming out. And these are all my favorite variety of pumpkins this year. Only one variety I'm growing this year. Had to have my favorites. Howden pumpkins, Howden. I love I love Howden pumpkins just because of the name. Howden reminds me of the howling of a wolf, so I think of Halloween. My favorite time of year. And there goes the plane. Right near the naval base. So here are some pineapple plants, 2 of them I have left. The dog destroyed the other ones. These are into their 2nd year, I believe, of growing. I think these are white helos. I got them from a YouTuber out in Hawaii. And I wasn't sure they were going to do a whole lot. And, maybe I'll get some pineapples next year. And so those are doing better than now. The 2nd year, I can tell that they are growing and they're doing their thing. So let's move to the rest of the stuff here, and then I will get to the backyard garden. So right here, 1, 2, 3 orange trees. The one on the end on the right and the one on the left here are both blood orange trees, Moro variety, and the one in the middle is a navel orange tree. Now, I like the fact that over the past 2 weeks or so, this blood orange tree has put on some new growth. You can see it's lime green coloring right now. You can see all up in here, lime green, lime green. Now you can see how this is a darker green on this navel. Now these were lime green about maybe 3 weeks ago to a month, but now they've darkened up, and this will do the same. And they continue to put on new growth. Both trees are still putting on new growth. This tree right here, my other blood orange tree, is still putting on new growth. Now the backstory on this tree, sorry about my finger, it keeps getting in front of this camera. I'm not used to cell phones. This is the tree I brought with me from our old place out in the country. And this tree has gone through a lot. This is now the 2nd time it's dropped its leaves. It produced oranges for me that were the best oranges I've ever had. I shared them with my family. They absolutely loved them. But this tree got hit with a cold snap after 1 year and lost all of its leaves. Came back, didn't produce the next year, but because it was spending all its time and energy getting foliage back, which was great. And then I was expecting to get all this fruit this year from it. Well, when it was inside the house, the cat decided to use the pot for its bathroom. And all that high nitrogen decided to cause the leaves to curl up, dry out, and all of them fell off for about maybe 13 leaves left on it. And so what I did was, and it was maybe in a 35 gallon pot or something like that. So what I did was I got these 45 gallon pots. I took out the tree during the so-called dormant season, January or February. And I transplanted it to a bigger size pot, took the tree out, banged it on the ground a few times to get all the old soil off, took a hose with water, flushed it all out of all the urine smell from the cat, flushed out the whole root system, try to get all the soil off as much as I could, you know, and then fresh soil, everything like that, all the amendments I put in it. And look what happened. It massively came back, big time, and it's still putting on new growth. How do I know the new growth? If you can see the color difference between the lighter green and the darker green. Lighter green is all new growth. Darker green is the older growth. This thing has put on a ton of growth and continues to. So I'm expecting a bumper crop of fruit off of this baby next year, as long as I can keep that cat out of there. How do I plan on doing that? By putting sharp, spiky things in the soil to keep her from walking on it. One thing I learned about orange trees is, oh, look at the size of these needles on these things. You talk about blood orange. People seem to think that it's caused by the coloring of the fruit inside. Well, that may be true, but I can tell you another reason why they would call it a blood orange tree, because you certainly will draw your blood. Look at those thorns. Those things are sharper than toothpicks. I'm telling you that right now. But anyways, one of the things I learned about orange trees is that they're called what's known as a closed canopy type tree. So that means that most fruiting trees, peach, apple, and so forth, pears, you would want to have an open center, you know, where the center's open, where sunlight can penetrate and wind can go through, air circulate, helps with diseases, sun penetrates, helps to ripen fruit that are still on the inside. Well, that's not what you want on an orange tree. I've learned that you do not really prune orange trees, you know, except for maybe dead growth or something like that, or diseased. Yes, you would definitely get those out of there. But if it's, you know, still going strong and everything, you leave it alone. You don't really prune them, because I guess the skin or the bark of the tree is sensitive to sunburn, and so these trees, they call it a closed canopy. So you want all of these leaves and foliage as much as possible covering the trunks of the trees and everything like that. So there's really not a whole lot of pruning except for dead and diseased wood that you would normally do on an orange tree. Now you might want to prune for height. You can see that it's almost just about to reach the low roof there. So you may want to do that, but I don't know. If I'll get to that point. I'll check that out. Okay, let's move on. As we're moving on, I don't know where exactly I'm going to put all those pumpkin plants. Obviously, they're going to run out of the pots and they're going to run along the ground. So I don't know whether I want to do it out here. We've got a neighbor's yard over there, and I don't really want it intruding on their beautiful yard and everything. But if I put it on the front yard, it's going to make the front yard look a little unkept, but it is what it is. Now to the backyard, which gets a lot of sun, a lot of shade, because we got big, huge pine trees that I'm walking under, 2 or 3 of them. And so these areas right here, these are more pumpkin plants, more Howdens. That's the only variety I grew this year. And this gets so much shade that these plants, though they are growing, are slower, and the vines are not as thick. And this is the one that's back even further into the shade by about 3 to 4 feet, but it's definitely smaller. Now that could be genetics, but eventually as it goes through here, it's going to get into more sunlight, so I'm hoping it will take off a little bit more in the next, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. All right, let's go check in here. And again, more pumpkin plants. I had to put a little fence barrier around it to keep the dog out of it. But that's doing okay, but this one's doing a lot better. And I keep trying to get it to come up the T-post here, and then onto this part of the trellising that my son and I rigged up. So I have to keep retraining. That's basically every single day I come out here, I retrain the vines to get them to go where I want them to go. Now that wooden trellis, and I have 2 more like that, came from the old place. I made those actually, gosh, how long ago did I make those? Probably 8 years ago, maybe, when we were living in the city, and then we moved out to the country, brought them with me. They served me very well out there for trellising green beans and cantaloupe and pumpkins as well. And so I brought them along with me, and I have them hooked up to the fence there. You can see I hooked up to kind of close the gaps. I put up the metal trellis there, just all fence wiring, zip tied them, and came in here and cut. You can see my son and I, we did a whole lot of cutting because these were all connected in here. The holes weren't big enough. Now down here you can see that they are big enough. When I get up here, they get smaller together. The gaps are smaller, so I had to open them up a little bit so I can get the vines in and out. So that's what's going on there. Coming over here, looks like we got a pumpkin flower opening up. I want to see if there's any bees in it. See if we can get down here, see if we can. Maybe if I move this leaf out of the way a little bit. So we got a male pumpkin flower right in there. And that's designed, of course, they start coming out early, the males do, to start attracting the bees to come along. Hopefully we'll get some bees this year to pollinate these like I did in the country and other places, but if not, I'll be out here hand pollinating early in the morning, just like I've done many times in the past. So you can see pumpkin plants coming up, vines coming across, and I just kind of weave it in and out as each day. And you can see the tendrils right here, look like little pieces of spaghetti, little curly Q tendrils, nice. Of course, they help it to latch on to items, to climb and pull itself along the grass if need be. Okay, more trellising. And you can see, again, in between each section of the wooden trellises, we have more of that wire fencing that my son and I put up in. Again, let's see. Now, I've been out here each morning and I've checked. And we have more flowers, but I've never come across any bees in them. Now, I don't know, we just live in an area where there's not a whole lot of them or what. But we shall see what we're going to see. Again, more pumpkins. And let me come around. Whoa, I hear bees in there. Sorry. Yeah, I'm afraid of bees. Yes, I know. Maybe they're after my basil that's in there. All right, let's see if I can move through quietly without getting messed up. Look at there. Oh, come on, there it is. Female flower. I don't know if she's ever going to get to ripening stage. No, in fact, I can tell she's not, because look, she shriveled up. The fruit right here, the pumpkin fruit, shriveling up. That's a sign that's aborting. But I'm used to that with this variety, Howden variety. They abort probably 5 to 7 female flowers before they finally produce bloom one of the females. So that's going on pretty good. All right, so let me move on out of here and just see if I can finish up the garden tour. Okay, so I got all tomatoes in there and sweet and basil in there, and you can tell what I've done this year is I've taken the taller tomato cages, and I put two together, stacked one on top of the other, turned it upside down, and zip tied them together. So you can see right here in front of me, I just turned it upside down, and I usually come in and sucker them and prune things out of the middle as much as I can. These varieties are Marianne and Marisol. They are heirloom varieties, and I did that this year. It got heirloom varieties just because you can save the seeds from those, and they will grow true plants that are exactly like what you see right now. You don't have to worry about any hybrid stuff. So those are all in here. More tomato plants, 3 more right there. And then these are all green beans, a variety of bush and pole in here. And that was sort of an accident. I wanted only bush this year, but it is what it is. Anywho, this particular bed doesn't get a whole lot of sunshine, so the green beans actually do really nice in this area. They're doing really good. Not producing a ton, but some. Tomatoes are coming along. They're ripening up now, and like I said, I heard a whole bunch of bees in there, and that probably going after that basil. So I would like to see them getting on those pumpkin flowers. That'd be a good sign. Anyhow, like I said, you can kind of get an idea of how small this backyard is. There's the house. This is how the narrow strip of everything is right here, right? It is what it is. And still getting, gardening is like my therapy for me. So, all right. I guess that'll be about it. From Pittman's Pumpkin Patch, Pittman's Garden Patch. Stay tuned for updates and all kinds of things. If you have any questions or anything, post them in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.